Welcome. I'd like to call this last finance meeting before our break to order. So we're going to have a little time off unless there's a special finance meeting. The first item is assignment for request for council action. For the finance committee, we have 16-113 budget amendments, 16-114 expenditure over $15,000 to M&J Technologies for the IT department, 16-115 bid review Memorial Park pool house. Special legislation, we have one item, 16-116 expansion of the historic district. Item 2 is 16-102, the 2017 tax budget. Keith?
I emailed this out. There's nothing really that changes from year to year. I mean, the numbers are updated, but it's something we have to do part of the budget process with the town.
Move to approve.
Second. Any questions for Keith?
Keith, I do have one question with regard to the income tax. Is that included in this, or is this just strictly the property tax?
This is, they call it a tax budget, but it's all revenue sources, so
Okay.
tax everything's in there.
All right. Have we been able to track anything with the new income tax laws going in? We have enough information to be able to say anything?
We don't, because they take effect for this year's taxes, but those won't be filed till the end of this year, so there's not really any changes.
Okay, so quarterly payments and things like that, we're not going to see?
Nothing enough to notice.
Okay, all right.
And a lot of people pay what they owed last year, so even those we won't see until after they actually do a filing, and then
Okay.
see, okay, and they get a change.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We have another hold on item number 3, which I believe was last time also, you guys spoke about it, which is 16-103, so I think we're still waiting on more information on that.
Well, we had a meeting scheduled for Friday morning after the staff meeting, but I had to cancel both the staff meeting and the meeting on, with Mr. Claus because of the workful sentencing got postponed, and I wanted to attend that. So that was my fault that we're meeting this Thursday now, so
Okay.
we will know while you're on break and then be ready when you get back.
Okay. Item number 4 is 16-113, the budget amendment, and I think this, Keith, came from our discussions at the
Yeah,
budget hearing.
You asked us to put through, so this is the one to reduce for the current year.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. 16-114 expenditure over $15,000 to M&J Technologies for the IT department. Darren?
Thank you. This is for renewals, cycle renewals for our cruisers, our fire trucks, and we're adding a laptop to the water department, or a tablet. These are tablets. We're moving away from the laptops and the cruisers to the tablets, give us a little more versatility. We have to take them in and out. So this was gonna be, we got 12 cruisers that are outfitted with laptops and/or tablets, 4 fire vehicles, 3 of which are trucks, and then the one water. We're trying to put the cruisers, we did 3 tablets last year, so we want to do 3 this year, 3 the next, and 3 the next, so we're basically on a 4-year cycle. We used to be around 3, but I'm finding we're getting a little bit more out of the new hardware components, so I'm trying to push it to 4 years. When we switched to Emergentech several years ago, all of the laptops needed to be upgraded to handle that software, so it kind of put us a little bit behind the 8 ball on keeping us in sync of this 333 or 444. So what I'm trying now to do is put us back on that rotation for the police cars. And at the same time, the tablets seem to work real well with the Emergentech software. The use of the software is much better with the tablet and the touchscreen.
And what type of tablet is it when you see?
These are Motion Pro tablets. They're ruggedized. The demo online, they spray it with water, throw it in a freezer, so they beat them up. And we've had 3 in service now for almost 8 months. So what I wanted to do was test those 3 to make sure they make it through the winter, and then we went through the summer heat, and the cars are offline.
Now, do they take them? Can they take them out of the car?
They sit at a docking station. There's a lock, so they can be locked in the docking station. We connect them wirelessly with a wireless modem in the trunk. So the versatility's there, so should they need to remove them, they can stay within a radius. For example, if the police car's in the back lot, we can get over to Elmwood Street. If you draw a circle around that, to the wireless modem, so you can stay connected to the software. They have the imaging option, should we need the imaging option.
I don't know if they, like, if they have a situation, let's call it, and there's multiple people, do they take it to there, so that instead of going back to their car and trying to get any information?
Yeah, we haven't really gone to that extreme, because there's only 3 of our fleet of 12 that are doing that. We do a lot of pushing a lot of the camera feeds now. We're trying to get, Sergeant Kinney is testing that too, so we're using them for that a little bit, so we can, if we get an alert from dispatch to the camera feeds of the parks, the sergeant on duty can pull that up and start rolling that way to look at what we got. So we're kind of in exploratory waters, I guess is the best way to say it, because the traditional model is you put a laptop in there and it's stuck and it's bolted down and you can't get it out. So,
Now with the new, do we trade them in, or do you just get new ones? Or is there
well,
like a
the current ones these three that we were gonna cycle out were Dells that are now 5 to 6 years old, right around the 5-year mark, so they're not doing so well. In fact, the one in the fire department failed outright. We took another one from the police department to lend them. So generally, if they're decent, we try to keep them around just for like presentations or whatnot, but at some point they end up just going to auction.
Well, I didn't know if they, like, there's a program for the police department that they lease them to you for so many years and they take them back and just keep recycling them like that.
Yeah, they haven't done that with Panasonic over the years or Dell, because we've went through both those vendors, and Motion Pro doesn't have any leasing programs on them. They're usually 3 to 4 year. If you're lucky, you can get 5 years out of them, and then it's time.
With regard to the tablets themselves, these are specific for city-type use?
They're not specific for city type use, they're specific rugged, so they have an element where they're being used in safety forces. They have that piece, but they're also being used big time in hospitals now, because of the mobility of having to carry them around and the dropping and whatnot. So they're versatile in many markets.
Okay, but you take the skin off and you basically have one of these, right?
They're a little thicker, they're a little more ruggedized, but yeah, it's tablet technology.
Because these are what, 600 or 700, and we're looking at 2,200, 2,300?
Yeah, those won't make it from durability
Well,
standpoint,
yeah,
yeah.
that I realize, but, and I understand, the hardened or the ruggedized, whatever the phrase is, there's no other option?
There are other options, and to give you an idea, when we price this out, this option actually go into a tablet-driven system with the keyboard is significantly less than buying the Panasonics, which is what we currently have in the other cars that we're phasing out. You're over $4,000 for a Panasonic laptop. You're getting them in these tablets for $2,500 now. There's a little bit of hardware, you got a keyboard, but by the time you put it all together, I think when I spec'd it all out, we were still saving between $600 and $700 a car by going the tablet direction. And we are kind of in new waters. I mean, I've tested it for 8 months and I haven't had any failures with them in the docking stations and whatnot, and I'm hoping, knock on wood, that continues, because the long run, it saves us money, gives us more versatility. The other thing that's big with these tablets is we were able to get the laptop away from the airbags in the cruisers, which was one of my concerns, that as we put those big laptops in there, if the airbag goes, the laptop's right line of fire. We've been able to move these tablets. They still have a 13.5-inch screen, so they're still plenty big, but with the center consoles that we're putting, we're able to pull those back towards the center, almost in front of the radio, and minimize the impact and lower them, which was another problem with the laptops when we flipped them up when we went to the new Ford Interceptors. The laptop screen was real high, so officers were having a real hard time making right turns because they were looking up and over the tablet screen, or the laptop screen.
Okay.
So a couple things, get away from the airbag, lower it down, save a little bit of money, give us some versatility. Those were all the options when I was trying to look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had the same concerns Mr. Rose had about the cost on that, and I was trying to, who's a competitor of Motion?
Well, this Motion Pro tablet, when it came out 8 months ago, was one of the first ruggedized. So there's just a few players starting to come out right now. There's not many in the ruggedized tablet market. Panasonic is one. To give you an idea, we demoed one of theirs. We actually ended up buying it, and our detective bureau still uses it for their use, but the screen was significantly smaller, and it was almost $4,000 just for the tablet. So we found that this was cheaper solution.
Move to approve. Second.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for your work on that. I'm sure as technology increases, there'll be changes and things will happen, be more cost effective as time goes on, which is the goal, I guess. So that's good. Okay, the final item is the bid review for the Memorial Park Pool and Pool House. Patrick?
Thank you. Council authorized us to go to bids for the pool and pool house. It was with the requirement that when bids are received, we bring them back to council for discussion. So that's what we're doing. We received bids back Friday. I believe we forwarded them to you. The low bidder for the pool work was Astro Pool at $561,339. The low bidder for the general trades contract, which is the pool house, was James P. Finnegan Construction. The base bid there was $39,300, and they submitted numbers for the two alternates as well. $16,500 for alternate one, which was furnishing restroom equipment, toilets, sinks, partitions, etc. And alternate number two was $47,200, and that was replacing all the concrete around the pool deck itself. I did want to introduce Nancy Nozick. She's from Ranstetter Carroll, our architect. They have worked with both of these firms in the past, and to speak for Nancy, but recommend them.
Yeah, we've worked with both of these companies for at least 25 years, and often we've done projects where they have teamed together in a design-build process, so we are very comfortable with both of these contractors.
Now, is the, Patrick, the last item, is that 673 in the wrong spot? Should it be at the end, or what happened there?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
That contractor, I guess, just made it a typo, so to speak. It's kind of irrelevant because they're high no matter
Okay.
which spot.
So there'll be two different contractors, one will do the general trades contract and add alternate 1 and 2, and there'll be a different contractor that'll do the,
Pool work.
and the pool work, I assume, would go first, and then the other would go after, or they do simultaneously, or?
They could go simultaneously, what do you mean?
Yeah, and we'll talk to them about how they recommend working, depending on the time of year and weather and things like that.
And what was the timing of it? What was the start
The
dates and all that?
completion date we had was next June or July. Yeah, so I'll double check.
Was there a commencement date?
Pardon me?
Or was there a commencement date or just a completion?
No, just a completion date. We did that to encourage, give them a long time, they can plug this in over their winter and spring schedules.
Questions? I don't know people.
Yeah, I mean, I like to see the numbers came in lower than what I anticipated, so I'm excited about it. Personally, I would love to get support from council and administration, but also get this pool open before the season begins next year, because I think that, my perspective, I think the community's waited long enough, and I know we've done our due diligence to try to put something in place that we're all comfortable with, and I believe what we have in front of us makes sense, and I think it's good for the community, and I'm hoping that we can rally up support here to get this moving.
Is that what the deadline is? Did the opening, I guess it would be, what, Memorial Day weekend? Is that what this is kind of targeted at, or when you say, what was it, June 1st or June 30th? What did you say?
Pretty sure it's the 1st of June because we wanted to try and have it shortly around Memorial Day.
Right.
We
that's-
delayed the bid opening, I think that's why we're getting dates confused, because we were gonna bid it right around Memorial Day, and we pushed the bid back so that we hopefully
Right.
get more interest.
One more comment. Does this include anything in reference to the green space around the pool?
No.
Because that's one thing I brought up before, I think we need to really consider, is that if you go look at that pool, there's limited area for families to just go out and catch the sun while they're in and out of the pool, and I think we should extend the fence line maybe on the north and northeast side possibly, or I know there'd be some fill needed, to extend those fence lines out so we have more green space in there for families. And I hope we consider that too when we're doing this, and I think that'd be really beneficial for everybody that's using that pool.
So what do you want us to do with this?
Well, if I may, there's a couple other things we need to consider. When we turned in the original request, we had roughly a $15,000 budget for a boiler that isn't included in this bid. We had roughly a $15,000 budget for exterior improvements in the pool house, which isn't in the bid, as well as flooring inside the bathhouse, which the inside of the bathhouse is in pretty rough shape. And my fear is that if we move forward with the pool project and we don't do anything with the bathhouse, it's gonna be, it's gonna take away a lot from what we did with the new construction. So you're talking, that's roughly $50,000 additional that we're gonna need.
So it's 20,000 for the flooring, is that what you're figuring?
No, it's roughly 10,000.
15 for the boiler, 15 for the exterior, and
No.
On top of that, we also submitted another budget
Here it is.
for some wish list items that were to be, one of the items we were gonna address with the pool construction was, I believe it was a 2-inch line, Nancy. It was gonna be for a future water feature. That water feature, I checked with the contractor that did the bid, Astro Pools today, and that's roughly $6,000 if it were to be completed with the project. It'd be more money in a later.
The line you're talking about.
No, to install the actual mushroom feature.
Well, right now, with what you just said is the general terms, the alternate 1, alternate 2, the pool, the 15 and 15 with the 2 items you mentioned, plus the 10 with the floor is 704,339. That's what we're at right now, without the mushroom feature. You're up to 704,339.
Right.
That's how you add it all.
I didn't check your math.
I didn't, it's a quick math, I mean,
Plus, we had money in engineering already, right?
Yeah, we've, to date, we've spent $64,115
It
for
says it on
engineering.
the sheet.
Okay, so that gets us
Is
to
that not what that means?
768.
768,454.
Hey, John?
Those 3 items that you just mentioned, the 15,000 plus the 15,010 is not on here.
See, I think that's what we're just discussing. Some of us are confused because we thought it was included, or was supposed to be included.
No.
No, that was never part of the intention. The original request kind of spelled that out.
So there's $25,000, or, I'm sorry, $40,000 that is not, that you say that needs to be done, is not included in this at all.
Correct.
Right.
When we originally talked about this, this bid was for the bare minimum to get the pool open.
Right.
It was to reconstruct the pool, provide an ADA accessible restroom, and an outdoor shower to get the pool open. So I'm just saying, if we want to make it presentable, there's
Right.
a bit more.
And I believe I remember that initially we were looking at some of the JVS students being able to do some of the construction work on the outside to paint it or whatever needs to be done, but that kind of fell through.
Yeah, although we had one of the service organizations tell us if we got the quotes, they thought they could do some of the fundraising to
Right.
assist with that.
Right. My second question was on the boiler. Did that have anything, because I know it's been 5 or 6 years since, I believe we bought a new pump,
Filtration system,
a pump filtration system.
2007.
But that doesn't include anything with the boiler.
No, the boiler was inspected when we did
And
our
failed.
original pool inspection, and it has failed. It
Okay.
needs complete.
I just wanted
replacement.
clarification on
Yeah.
that. Because I know for the pump filtration was $50-some thousand.
I thought it was from 83.
Was it 83? I thought it was,
Yeah.
okay.
I guess, Jensen, what I think we're getting a little confused about, when you look at this April 5th, 2016, it says pool house renovation, 65,000, pool renovation, 700,000. Then it says we'd like to complete the work under multiple contracts, pool house renovation, repair the boiler, exterior siding and flooring. Then you go down below here, alternates 1 and 2, then it says the pool house renovation consists of the following: install family outdoor shower, 25, then replace boiler, exterior siding, flooring. So I think that's what's confusing us, because it does say the pool house renovation consists of the following. And then up here, it shows it as 65,000.
Right, that 65,000 number came from adding up all those renovation budget numbers. And I know when we talked about it at the meeting, the bottom 3 were going to be separate contracts that the city was going to manage, because we have separate quotes from local
Right.
contractors for all 3 of those.
Okay.
The handicap restroom was what we needed an architect's help with designing and figuring out the logistics of the plumbing and the
Right.
heating and things of that nature that were above and beyond what we can do with separate contracts.
Well, in my opinion, when we first started talking about this, we thought that the cheapest that we were coming in on, I think it was Brandsetter, that come up with just replacing the shell. It was 800 and, I can't remember, 800 and some thousand. So now with the bids that we've got in, even with the add alternates that you're describing and the replacing of the concrete around the pool, the only thing that we're not addressing is some of the aesthetics of the pool house. And what Mark has discussed of moving the fence and creating more green space. So I think I know John's been hesitant, but the rest of us I'm not speaking for everybody, I know myself was in favor for moving forward a project at the 800 and some thousand. The only question that we had further discussions on was the operation cost. And I think that we've kind of addressed that also, so I'm in favor of moving forward.
When you say in favor of moving forward, I guess the question is, you have the general terms at alternate 1, at alternate 2 as one thing, the pool bid is the other, and then the 3 items that Jansen talked
Right.
about. So you're in favor of all?
Correct.
Because it adds up to be about 768,000, which that number also includes the 64 already spent on engineering.
Right. And it still comes in under the 800,000 that we were initially thinking that it was going to cost. So we're close. I mean, I know 760-some thousand is a lot, but
And if you recall, when the discussion started, we were looking at possibly doing something we talked about, a real improvement of like $2 million.
well, yeah, water park. and all,
Which
yeah.
we backed that down, and I think we've come in.
We have a history of doing that now. Remember the court?
Well, that's good.
That's a good thing, though, yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely in favor of going forward, and I think Denny spelled it out pretty well. Because I think that one of the reasons and one of the things we discussed that was a real question was, well, the attendance at the pool had dropped off considerably. But I still think that was in good part because the condition of the pool had deteriorated. And that's why I think that when we go forward, we need to do the entire package, because we have to have the pool house, updated and attractive, and have a facility that people are gonna wanna use, and not go away and say, well, yeah, the pool's nice, but geez, look at the pool house. I think we need to hit the whole thing. And also, I think Mark is absolutely right. We need to expand the footprint of the interior, the inside of the pool once you get in with the fence, so that because we have a lot of space. So there's more room to spread out and have people, if they want to sit at a picnic table or relax or lay down, so they can enjoy the pool and not all be kind of crowded in. So I'm 100% in favor here going forward.
And I think, Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the mayor mentioned, or Jansen mentioned, one of our service organizations. I believe that, I know I've talked to 2 of them that would say, that they would definitely like to become involved because it's a community project.
Yeah, we've had some decent conversations with, that's what I was trying to figure out, if it's 768, Jansen, total everything, if we were paying for it, how much would we be asking the service club who wanted to take on the pool house renovation? How much do you think we'd be asking them to try to raise?
Well, before I answer that question, I did send out an email earlier this morning to that specific organization, and they said because of the delay in the discussions that the clubs have moved on to other projects, and they would have to revisit it to see if they're interested in it. So that might, the timing of that might not be the best.
Okay.
But I know when we originally discussed, I think the funding, how much funds they're able to raise would be the driving force of what we could do. The building does need a lot of work in order to function efficiently. To get it dressed up and able to be used when the pool is complete, I think we need to do the bare minimum at least.
I think we need to reach out to them again, because I talked to that same group a couple of weeks ago, and kind of the same thing, but they said that if we were going forward with the pool, then they would be willing to reconsider participating in covering the cost of the renovation of the pool house.
Well, the only difference, just to bring back what you mentioned about from previous years at the pool and the new pool, would be the policy regarding who the age limit of who has to have a parent at the pool. I can't remember what it was, I think it was like 8, and now it's gonna be 11? So those kids cannot come unless they have a parent, so they would be turned away, I guess.
Well, you know, I
Parent
still,
or a guardian.
A parent or a guardian, right? Somebody, what, 18, I assume? If they were
No,
somebody-
we had talked about even an older sibling, I thought,
Yeah.
at one point.
Rec center requires 18. We're 11, we changed it to 11 for you guys.
So it'll be 11-year-old, but they have to have an 18-year-old with them? Are you saying it'd be something like a 16-year-old with them?
I thought we had a
They're 12, they're
conversation.
allowed to come in, 16 are allowed to come in, but if they're under, or 11 and under, they have to have an adult 18-year-old or a guardian with them.
So they can't have like a 15-year-old bring them in?
Nope. Cannot sign for it.
I mean, you gotta take that into consideration, because that's a whole group of people that are gonna be turned away.
yeah, I still think though, and, you know, if I'm wrong, we'll find that out once we get the pool open. I still think that once we have a good-looking, you know, well-maintained facility, that we'll see the numbers change. Because I think we've recognized that we're missing an entire demographic of the city by not having the outdoor pool. We're underserving a group, I think, in the city. And now I think we can fix that and move forward, and we'll see, but I think that we can promote this pool and have the attendance figures that we want. And of course, the bottom line is, you know, many of the services we provide here, we don't break even. We don't make any money.
Well, I guess the question, you want council to say, yeah, we're going forward, so then you could go to these clubs, or what do you, I guess, I mean, you got a long,
We're not quite there yet.
right, that's okay, that's what I'm
So,
asking.
I think there's a little bit more discussion. So, in addition to running the pool numbers, we were also asked to take a look at the rec center and whether we could make modifications to the rec center to provide outside air and sunlight into one of the existing pools. So Mike has some information on that. That is not totally complete yet. They have one more meeting this Thursday.
Tomorrow and Thursday.
Tomorrow and Thursday, to where we'll have some more of those numbers, but just so you have the whole picture before we get to making the decision here. Mike will share that.
Yeah, if I may. Just some of the discussion, like you're talking about now, it's what, 768,000. Some of the numbers for changing a leisure pool to more open air, adding, we talked about 100-foot long by 12-foot wide, 3 skylights into the ceiling of the leisure pool, having bifolding doors that will actually open up to an outside new sun deck with new port floor, new playground, fencing, new play feature in the pool, and all that, it's still at a $675 price tag.
How much?
You're talking about no more operations for.
What was the price tag?
$675,000.
Okay.
So.
Make sure.
John wanted that one.
$600,000, you know, working a large number. And the idea with the, like, it takes away obviously the operations of the outdoor pool and parks being able to do other things besides work on the outdoor pool in the area there. And more records in the rec center, of course. So it's just something to kick around. I was, you know, asked to look into it, and I did, and that's what we came up with. And Bruce is here because he's actually the company that would supply the skylights for the building and the opening doors and opening windows that would take out the slip off walls.
If we waited, okay, so if we don't vote, hang on a second, Mark. If we didn't vote on it tonight, if we waited till we got that information, and we aren't gonna meet again until August.
It's not going to council though in August, no matter what, till after
So
tonight.
there is not, is that a delay? Not a delay.
No, I think that would be a delay. They're bidding and giving us numbers, anticipating that we're gonna be entering in a contract within, I think it's 30 days. We can talk to them and see if there'll be any kind of, I don't think there'd be any penalty, but if they might ask to push back the completion date in an equivalent amount of time.
And I think we should vote on it tonight.
I grew up with a pool. I love the pool. I spent a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I spent nights in 5 different hotels, and they caught up with each time. I'll stop you right there, Bill. But they all had very nice pools. very few kids in the pools, a lot of kids sitting around the side of the pool and out in the park with their thumbs on their phones. Okay? I don't think a swimming pool is the same amenity as we looked at it as when we were children. Okay, I've heard a lot of emotions as to why we need the pool, but I haven't heard any facts yet that we have this demand. We have these people coming out saying, we demand this pool. I don't see that. When I go out to the Facebook page, what was that, something Medina that was tied in with the schools? Okay, I read through the comments about the pool. Roughly half were against the pool. Roughly half were for the pool. So I don't think there's that big swell of emotion about the pool as we're feeling here. I would like to see some facts before we go. I did a little bit of research on a couple of the cities in Ohio, Chillicothe, and another one that starts with C now, not Cleveland, not Cincinnati.
Canton?
No, Kashok, thank you. Had a survey out earlier in the year on what the people wanted with the pool. I haven't followed up on it to see where they went with it, but they put a survey out asking the people, do you want a pool, don't you want a pool? I really think that we need some basis of fact to act on before we spend $700,000-800,000, whatever the final number is. You know it's not going to stay at 725 or 768. It's going to be closer to 800. We know that, okay? I would like to see some facts, that we have some positive evidence that people really do want this pool. They really are going to use the pool before we commit the money.
I don't disagree with you, I just don't think this, I don't think those facts are there. I don't know that you can, I had a girl do a survey, and the survey came up, 70% of the people she surveyed wanted the pool.
Okay, I got some facts for you today. 411, an empty splash pad.
A splash pad's not a pool.
But it's, nobody was there. At 85, 90 degrees, and nobody's there.
Yeah, well, you know, the
Okay.
master plan shows we were gonna build a pool at Greenwood Park. Well, the master plan, I think, shows we were gonna have, initially, we were gonna, I think, we were gonna have 2 outdoor pools. I think at this point, we need to just use our own collective judgment and make this determination. I think it will work the same way I think the parking deck will work, even though I don't know for a fact that it, you know, I don't have a guarantee it's gonna draw business, or that we absolutely will fill it all the time. But I believe that that's the leverage we need to do those other things. I think the pool is the same in a different way. I still think it addresses a whole demographic of this community that is not gonna ride a bike to the rec center and not gonna go inside, even though I saw the drawings, and that would be a wonderful addition to the rec center. And I appreciate the work that you did on that, Mike, as well. But I still think the pool is a whole in what we offer in community, in this community and service, that the rec center is not gonna meet. And we are leaving folks out. And it isn't my own sense of using a pool as a kid, because I didn't use a pool. But my own kids were at that pool all the time, and they rode their bike there from South Court Street. And I don't know, that's what I hear from people. I heard from a guy today that came to look at my roof, who asked me about the pool, and he said, you know, he knows, longtime resident guy, must have been in his 50s, and he said, you know, you guys need to do the pool.
Well, since the pool closed, I would have to say that I have a 50-50% comments when I'm at Bueller's, any uptown functions, whether it be the farmer's market, the band concerts, when we go up and walk around. Number 1 is the deer. Number 2, when's the pool gonna open? And I would say they're about equal as far as, and it's not the same people all the time. And I agree with you, and Mark. I mean, we talked when we first started discussing this of trying to do a public survey, and it was, we talked about it actually quite a bit on how to do it. My personal feeling is that we should move forward, and what we should look at is either some of the service organizations helping, and there's a large business community out there that I think if we advertised and asked for donations for, you know, fixing up the pool house, putting on some of the.
Well, let me ask you the question, moving forward, I guess, with your options that you talked about, what direction do you have to give the contractor regarding all these other items, the $40,000 worth of items that are not included in this.
Those won't be part of this contract.
Oh,
Nancy says those
so
will
they
be
won't do the
independent.
work, they won't be involved in the work?
No, no, it'll
Okay.
be separate contractors. He's already got bids proposed for.
Got you. Mike?
And just still some things to consider, like the last time we talked about it, are we gonna go to a $6 rate per person? You know, because we talked about that, doing that to help with operations. You know, that's $1 from what the rec center costs for a daily pass, so.
What was charged in the past?
It's 6, 8, and 10 at other places with that, where the cost now for an adult is $10, some of the places are $6 for children. So $6 is actually on the low side for a outdoor pool like that, for a city facility.
What, in the estimates that you presented to us, what numbers did you use? Like the cost recovery of $25,000 a year, what number did you use to come up with that number?
Yeah, exactly.
Was that $6?
$6.
What's $6?
Yeah, because right now. I think
Along with
that's-
concessions.
Yeah. with concessions.
Along with the concessions
Correct.
you're there.
Like I said, if you open the pool, do everything we can to make it, you know, operational and functional, and everything we do to keep it at a good revenue source, just, it's not gonna cover the operation.
So you're saying $6 for 17 and under, and then $10 for,
If you go with that, or $6 across the board, and
Okay.
still have the lunch program for people that can't afford it at half cost of $3.
And then another thing, along Paul's lines, if you wanted to kind of gauge where people's using it, we can look at, Wadsworth just opened a pool in the last couple of years, find out if, you know, if they're, you know, if it's being utilized.
I understand attendance is down.
And I haven't talked to anybody. I know Ledge
Mike,
Lake.
do you have,
I talked to them, yeah, they said they were down last year.
right, their
like, when you
attendance
say,
is down.
what numbers are you talking about? Like when you say attendance, what, I mean, Wadsworth's
When they
different
first
than
opened
that.
to now.
No, but like, what numbers are they getting, like generally, what do we know?
Oh, that I don't know. Yeah, they
And
didn't have it
Ledge
public.
Lake's another one that's an outdoor that's open to the public. And I know they've actually, within the last 10 or 15 years, have basically cut the size of the pool in half. And I talked to a lot of families here, when are you gonna open up you're gonna open up the city pool? Because we're driving to Hinckley to take our kids to Ledge Lake. And 15 years ago, or whenever, they redid the pool and downsized the size of it. And I used to take my kids there, and it was always crowded, on a nice day. I mean, if you had a rainy day and stuff, yeah.
Well, I think the question's still out there is what the mayor just proposed regarding Mike working on some other alternative. I mean, I hear a couple people say, no, let's do what we have here and not worry about the alternative. I mean, what's the consensus of that? Because he has a meeting tomorrow and Thursday.
And it's not to throw a wrench in the project, it's giving an alternative. You guys, you know, if you talk about taking away.
So the question, are you interested in listening to the alternative or not? I guess that's the question.
I would be interested in listening to the alternative, even though we're gonna be on recess after tonight. We're gonna have budget meetings through that recess. If we can get the costs nailed down more by next week, if we can have a special meeting to discuss it, I wouldn't wait that long. I don't wanna wait till the end of August to delay this project.
There's a meeting on the
If-
19th.
Pardon?
The next, after this week's budget on the 5th and the 13th is the 19th, next week.
Yeah, so, I mean, how does everybody feel about that?
I'm okay with that.
I mean, that's another week, so. I mean, I would be in favor of that, because Mike Head and the mayor has expressed, there's been a lot of work put into this, and I don't want to do that and, you know, say I want this now. Let's hear what the alternatives are, and it's just another week. If, you know, we've got a budget meeting on the 19th, today's the 11th, so 8 days from now.
I'm okay waiting till 19th, but we've got to have some numbers, and we've got to have the other alternative. When we said we wanted this bid, we gave you the time to look at this, Mike. So next week, we got to have some numbers, because I don't think any of us want to keep putting this off. The ones that want this, we've been waiting 3 years for this. And so if you can get it, are you sure this week and Thursday you'll have some good solid
I
numbers?
can tell you right now, the numbers I gave you are pretty solid. I'm just, going through some preliminary estimate, there's some more, different conversations about things that tomorrow I'm working with the guy. He already sent me the quotes, but we're still gonna talk about the playground and the rubberized surface tomorrow. He quoted at $71,000. We negotiated, is it between a 5 and 12-year-old playground set, or is it 2 and 12-year-old? You know, he said he sent over the wrong quote, so it's a 2 to 12-year-old set, playground set. And this is a draw where if you have a pool that opens up, you have parents that can actually play on the playground with younger kids, and then older kids can swim at the same time. It's just another option to having other than the outdoor pool. You don't have to go with the skylights. It could cost $400,000 for me to do the improvements without skylights. I mean, that's a $300,000+ project, almost $500,000 for the skylights. The rest of the stuff is, you know, small.
What are we gonna learn next week that we don't already have?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Aside from that,
I mean,
it's a lot.
and I mean, I'd be willing to wait a week too if there's something that I think could change, you know, is gonna change my
Right.
opinion. But the difference, I think, is there's a fundamental difference between indoor, you know, and outdoor,
Right.
number one. And number two is at the location of the rec center as opposed to the location of Memorial Park. And neither one of those two things are gonna change. And those are, to me, those are fundamental parts of the decision-making that we've got here. I mean, I'd wait a week, but I'm not sure what it is.
Well, the cost won't be over $675,000 if we wait a week. It's gonna be $675 or less, just depending on
Yeah.
what you wanna do with the project. Amount of skylights, anything could change and be less. And we're talking about a revenue source for the rec center, should draw people, and you won't have operational costs at the outdoor pool. That's all.
It's using the existing filtration, the existing chemicals, the existing
Yep.
lifeguards.
No
I mean, if people are driving their bikes from Ward 1 over to Mellon Park to drive another block and a half, to cut through the high school and get through the rec center, to me, doesn't seem insurmountable if we can save $100,000 to $200,000.
We can get nice days in mid-September. In fact, the playground could be used probably more months than anything, but they pick a nice day in September, we can open the doors and still have it open. You know, a nice day in October even.
In April.
April, yeah, I mean, there's a lot more days of use for this option, especially with the playground. But
Michael, would they be able to tell us like the staging process of how much time it will take and what's affected as they're building over there? And
yeah, they already talked, that's what we brought Bruce in just to talk about it, because the curb process of building the curb and cutting the roof out, which we're redoing the roof here shortly anyway, soon in the next few years. Cutting in the curbs to put the skylights on, that's a month closing for the leisure pool. That's some revenue sources, and we'll have to figure out what kind of revenues will be lost in that month if we decide to do the skylights. The other stuff is minor, cutting the block wall out, putting in the accordion doors, could all be done during operations. It doesn't mean that we have to close for that. Just have to section it off. Just minor.
So,
I'll wait a week.
I don't think we're gonna hear anything much different to really, for me, myself, to really change my mind. Like Jim said, we've been waiting 3 years. There are some here in this room that don't want the pool at the memorial, and I think, I appreciate the due diligence of trying to look at other options, but what I think we have in front of us is manageable, and I think it's a benefit to the community, and I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of waiting anymore. I mean, we've been patient. We have something that's come in lower than what we anticipated. If somebody wants the pool at the rec center, then fine. If you want it at Memorial Pool, I think we need to vote on it, and I'm ready to vote tonight.
I'd be okay waiting a week, but like a couple others have already said, you know, what are we gonna learn in the next week?
I just said it because he said that he had a couple more meetings to discuss it. That's the only reason that I said.
And I'd like to see it. I mean, obviously Bill saw some drawings of it.
You just saw them, I just brought them up.
I just put it over there.
I guess I'd like to see those things too, Mike. I'd like to understand what this playground is. So,
You want to do that now? You seem to have time. It's up to you guys. I can bring it up to you. I just printed them out, Miles just sent them over today, because it's actually a 3D thing you put on the projector, but once we found out it was today, we kind of sure knows for me, but so he sent me the pictures, you know, via email.
I'd like to take a recess for a few minutes and then come back and reconvene.
take a recess
Yeah,
to
so-
talk about this, or?
Yeah, we can just take a recess from finance for a few minutes so that we can get up and think about what we're doing and then come back in a few minutes. I'd like to do that.
Well, we have time to do that, so.
We have time.
Let's take a
You can't
recess.
talk amongst yourselves.
let's take a
We
recess.
can't talk all together.
No, we can't talk
You can
together.
talk one-on-one. You can talk one-on-one.
Or you could talk to
You just
Mike,
can't talk
and look at the pictures or whatever.
What?
You can talk to Mike.
We can talk to each other.
Yeah, but if you're talking as a group about this.
Not as a
you're
group.
doing
If you're
it
talking
during the
one-on-one,
meeting.
we can do that one-on-one.
We
I
can
will
also
also
recess time.
No, I guess, let's take 10 minutes if you want, and then we convene to make a determination of if you're gonna wait an additional week, or if there's enough on council that you guys wanna go forward now and to give the direction of what you're gonna do. I don't know if it makes a difference personally, because the contractors, if there was another week, they're not gonna do anything different, I don't think, in a week.
No, week wouldn't be.
But I mean, beyond that, I think Pat's right, I mean, if they think they're gonna have something in 30 days.
Can I make a suggestion then, Bill? And Mark, I mean, I know you're adamant, I'm still adamant that I want an outdoor pool. But I do think we have to be considerate to sit down and truly look at all the information that Mike has developed for us. So I would probably stick with my original suggestion. Let's table this till the 19th, before the budget meeting, and we can make a final vote then.
Was that, I mean, I guess the question is, if you have 4 people who are doing that, then there's no reason to recess, because it's not gonna happen today.
I understand that, but
And that way we can really look at.
I understand that.
Mike's-
I don't disagree with you, and I'm willing to wait a week if we have to wait a week.
Let's wait a week.
But the premise of the premise of our decisions, though, is based on 2 things: outdoor
Right.
and location. And no matter what information we get, it won't affect that.
I'm just trying to be considerate.
Well, I want to be considered too, and I also want to see what it is. I mean, I have no idea what this is going to look like. And I hate to make this decision. I'm leaning toward the outdoor pool too, but I wouldn't mind seeing this so I can make an informed decision. And a week's not going to change my mind.
It's not going to change.
Change the deadline here.
Patrick, you don't think a week will change the?
No.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a problem.
So that would be my suggestion, to counter your recess.
Well, why don't we,
Bill,
But the
that way you
fact,
can still go
but
to
the
the
fact of the
But
matter.
we've never had a recess. I thought it'd be kind of.
Yeah, well,
I'm saying sure technically.
The fact of the matter is, if we're intent on an outdoor pool, and not a pool that has outdoor sunlight and air, but is in the building, then I think you've answered that question already. There's probably not much reason for us to have done the work we did already, or to continue the work that we thought council wanted us to look at both of those options. If the hang-up is an outdoor pool, as it is now, at the location it is now, and we might as well stop doing staff time on it. And I'm okay either way. It's just that's different than what we were directed in these earlier discussions. I just don't want to waste your time, I don't want to waste Mike's time.
is Mike's idea gonna change anybody who's gonna vote for the pool's mind? Because he's gonna still spend time on it. Do we want him to spend more time on it if that's not gonna change your mind?
I just think we're so close here to him having another option. I hate to waste his time.
But are you gonna say, if you look at that option, say, you know what, I'm gonna go with Mike's option, I don't want an outdoor.
If I look at it and it is several $100,000, I got to think about it.
right, and that's my opinion. I mean, I really want an outdoor pool, but
That's where I'm at too then.
Right, and we don't know what that number is yet, so I think those 2 things, as long as you're at least open to considering it. The other thing is, between now and then, this request still had 500,000 coming from rec, and I thought we said earlier we were gonna take it from capital and not rec carry
Right,
forward.
correct.
So that needs corrected. Then the second thing we talked about is the operating, if we do the outdoor pool. If we do it at the rec, we don't have to worry as much about the operating, because it's all the existing staffing and filtration. But what the plan is, and I know I've talked to a number of you, but I don't know all, is we're going to, so that Parks isn't impacted or Rec isn't impacted, actually, it's gonna go across the board, that we're gonna set a financial threshold that they can take computer items out of the 388 account, and then take 0.5% from that, which would be about $50,000, and use it for operating the pool.
Correct.
So that's the resolve of that. That way, everybody across the city
Is not being hurt.
being equally hurt. Because what they used to take out of 388, they're now taking out of their own budget. But it's not a big impact on any individual department. that's what I was trying to accomplish.
And I do want to thank the mayor and the administration for finding additional, or moving funds around to make it happen without, I brought up charging for the LEAF program, so we don't have to go that route, so I do appreciate looking outside the box.
Darren and I looked at it pretty thoroughly, and we think, some of these smaller items, that have typically been taken out of the 388, there's enough of those that we think we can make that happen and generate $50,000 that way.
All right, so it sounds like at the budget meeting, we're gonna decide on the final answer. In the meantime,
But you're-
Mike will provide us information.
You're gonna need a special council meeting at that budget meeting. if you're
Probably.
gonna pass that.
Right.
Because you're gonna have to notify.
Well, we have a budget meeting on Wednesday, this Wednesday. We should know more information, and then we'll be able to get the special council meeting if necessary by the next week. Just-
September, I can think of
You,
I was
yeah.
hoping it was just a simple budget meeting that day. Jim covered for me. I have my notes.
If we would vote on that tonight, you wouldn't go to council till the end of.
No.
We could still have a special
you'd have a
council
special
meeting.
council. Yeah, Mike?
Just one note, I'll be on vacation next week. So.
Are you on vacation too?
I am, so I don't know if you want me to email you all this stuff, or like I said, I can
That'd be
present
Well, you got this
right
week. Give
now.
us all the information this week, because you're gonna have the meeting by Thursday. You'll have the final information. On Thursday, just send us all that information so that everybody can review it and.
We'll vote on it on the
Yeah.
19th.
And the mayor would have enough information, and it
Right.
sounds like he knows what you've been doing and stuff, that if he has any questions, he'll be able to answer. Okay?
Why don't you send those email,
Yeah,
Yeah, check him out, like,
as well as the numbers as we get them?
You can ask me, you can, yeah, I don't think you have. Brooke, anything else? All right, meeting is adjourned, thanks.